Hello and welcome to episode 24 of the Samplecast. I'm Ruben Cornell. Another hugely packed show. I know I say that every single week, but it really is this week. There's plenty here. We've got bargains, freebies, news and reviews as well. I'd like to give a little shout out to everybody who's reviewed us this week on iTunes. I put a call out to get some reviews in and there's been some really positive responses, so thank you if you've done that. If you haven't, please go over to iTunes and have a look at the Samplecast podcast. You can rate and review us, that'd be really appreciated. So let's get on with the show. Firstly, a new pack from Black Octopus Sound. It's the Golden Hip Hop Principle Volume 2. We first featured the Volume 1 version of this pack in Samplecast 2 many months ago. Again, it's been developed by Audio Flair and it's just over a gigabyte of kind of dusty crate digging samples in funk and soul styles. They've been categorised here into 22 full loops and songs which have been split into stems, chopped into one-shots, and these are great for dance music and hip-hop production too. They sent me it for a little play and I had a really good time with it. There's some great stuff in there, although I didn't feel there was quite as much variety as Volume 1. There are a few similar sounding loops in there, but they're all very useful. Nevertheless, if you use these samples to create your own tracks, $40 is a small price to pay for not getting sued for copyright infringement. So check it out at Black Octopus Sound. This is a weird one. It's Ferrophone from Wobblophones. This samples a terrifying sounding machine which is called a Ferrophone. It's basically two metal discs which rotate against each other and there's nails inside the discs which scrape against the metal. This runs in the full version of Kontakt. It's 740 megabytes in size and there's 17 snapshot presets there too. There are also some onboard EQ effects and chorus controls, and this is a sound unlike anything else I'd really heard in a long time. I can imagine it would be really useful for horror scores and suspense, that kind of thing. Check it out at the Wobblophones website. One of my favourite developers next, it's DJSH Music, and this is a private collection which is hybrid synths and sounds. These have been developed by composer David James St Hill. They come from his own collection, sounds that he's used in his own scores, and the sources are analogue synths, kind of Foley sounds and organic recordings too. This runs in the photosynthesis engine in the full version of Kontakt and is 670 megabytes in size. There's 50 patches here and these comprise bass, leads, keys, soundscapes and tonal and atonal percussive rhythms. This has been sent to me for a little bit of a test out. I really liked it. The price is not too huge. I think it's under $15 and there's some great sounds here. I was particularly impressed by the pads. It'll be available from the 17th of September. A couple of mentions for private labs in this week's Samplecast. This is the first one, and this pack is called Scream for Aleatoric FX Woodwinds. Now, I reviewed Scream 3 Brass in Samplecast show 21, that was a couple of weeks ago, and this is the follow-up, so it's more of the same kind of crazy woodwind effects. This runs in the full version of Kontakt. It's nearly 3 gigabytes in size. There's 5 microphone positions included here and 20 presets too, with hundreds of effects covering risers, stabs, textures, clusters, drones, that kind of things. To get an idea of the interface, please do go back and have a look at Samplecast 21 and see what I thought of the brass, and you'll be hearing more from private labs later in the show. I've got a couple of great bargains for you this week. The first is a really big, huge set of Foley sound effects from Best Service. It's called Studio Box 3 and it's available via VST Buzz. You've got 30 gigabytes here of Foley sounds and sound effects, so that's 10,000 samples in all. That should keep you going for quite some time. This normally retails at almost €400, but is now under €100, so it's about 75% off. The themes of the sounds here are nature, human, technical and kind of game and cinematic sound effects. There's a nicely alphabetized index so you can find everything that you need pretty quickly. And this is a great library to have in your back pocket when you're asked to do sound design and Foley, even if your normal job is kind of composing. So do check out Studio Box 3, the link is in the description below, which will take you straight to the VST Buzz offer. I was contacted this week by Bella D Media, who offered a discount to all Samplecast viewers and listeners. It's a huge 50%. Now, they produce a range of really interesting vocal libraries, many of which have garnered 5-star reviews over the years. There's demos for all products available on the website at www.belladmedia.com, and the demos are only limited by the playable range, so feel free to download those and have a play before you spring for the full product. All you need to do is follow the link in the description below and use the code Samplecast, all in uppercase, to get 50% off until the 7th of October. I'm so excited for this week's big review, as I really love choir libraries. I can't get enough of them. I've got plenty myself, and every time a new one comes out I'm really excited to hear what it can do. This is from Strezov Sampling, it's Freya Female Choir. They're building on their legacy of great sounding choirs. Strezov Sampling have produced many over the years, and this is a new collection of soprano and alto female voices from the Sophia Sessions Choir. This library focuses on soft and emotional tones and also features a very low alto range, lower than you'll hear in a lot of choir libraries. This runs in the full version of Kontakt. It's 8 GB in size, compressed, and has 3 microphone positions on board, which are all mixable. The choir library features a syllable builder, which they've dubbed the Syllab Builder, which is a bit of a mouthful, and it's got both sustain and staccato styles there too. There's also polyphonic true legato for R's and Ms and the syllables as well, and you've got whispers too as one-shots. There was a lot that I really loved about this library. To begin with, it just sounds gorgeous. It's got a nice smooth crossfade between the and R velocity layers too, so that's really important for realistic kind of transitions between soft and stronger vowels. The polyphonic legato works really well as well, without you having to kind of think too much about what's happening with the scripting in too much detail. It just plays really well out of the box. The extensive tweakability is also a big plus. The developers have really thought about which controls will help you get the most out of the samples and syllables included. It's great to have separate patches as well for R and the whispers and the syllable builder and the different types of legato, and along with the purging features, this is really going to help me save on RAM in my template. There are a few queries I had about the library that were answered by the developers pretty quickly. The Ms have a smaller range than the R samples. I can understand why they've done this. It's not possible really to sing really high, but just worth noting that those two sample sets don't match in their ranges. I also would have liked more than 8 syllables. It doesn't sound too many 8, although you can edit the sample start points and there's a neat morphing option in the builder, which adds a lot more variety too. But 8 is really kind of a small number for this type of library. The PDF manual is a little bit basic, I have to say. It's 4 or 5 pages, but this is remedied somewhat by the help system within the interface itself, which is really useful, although you'll have to get your magnifying glass out. The amount of text in there makes the text really tiny to read. It's worth noting as well that there's no mixed alto and soprano voicings for the legato patches. If you want to use those in legato, you'll have to load both the patches into Kontakt and play them together. You can approximate this to a certain extent as well with the Syllab Builder by using a combination of the agile legato function, which is a really useful function worth checking out, and you can also push the sample start points ahead so that you just get the vowel portions of those syllables. As I say, it's an approximation. It works really well, but I would have liked to have seen those alto and soprano sections mixed together. In conclusion, I think this is a really worthy successor and accompaniment to Strezov Sampling's Woton male choir, although it has different syllables so the singers won't match up precisely. It also has some nice shortcuts for deleting, inserting and making syllables into staccato variations. This is going to be introduced in an update to Woton very shortly, so if you have that library, you'll be able to use the same shortcuts in both Woton and Freya. The customization options are expansive in this library. With a little bit of adjusting, you can coax far more sounds out of it than just the ums, ahs and the 8 syllables. If you do decide to go for this library, you'll want to spend some time with it to get the most out of it. It's really worth going into those tweaking options and seeing how you can get your money's worth from the library. Freya by Strezov Sampling, thoroughly recommended. Two main developer updates this week. The first is from EastWest and it's Play 5. Now Play is a very divisive engine, I'm very aware of that. Some people love it and some people just really can't get on with it at all, despite it being the gateway to some really great sounds from EastWest. This particular update is version 5, as I say. It's supported by Mac and Windows, runs in 64-bit systems only. You've got faster loading times here and faster performance times too. The engine has been optimised for SSD based systems And there's a few little extras which they've chucked in as well. The first is SSL Global Effects Suite, which has now been included with Play 5, and this includes a range of SSL processing effects. They've also thrown in 726 new impulse responses for the EastWest convolution reverb engine. Users of the Goliath collection will be pleased to find there's some new instruments there too, and Play 5 has received generally positive feedback from the forums and social media posts that I've been scouting around on the internet. So it's quite good news. Maybe dip into it if you haven't tried Play for a little while. Sadly, the same can't be said for Native Instruments Kontakt 5.6. This new update has been a little bit of a letdown for some people, I think. It hasn't fared so well across social media and the forums. The main complaints seem to be the small text size and that Native Instruments have changed the key switch colours. So instead of the actual switches being highlighted in blue, red and yellow, you've got little tiny lights at the top of the keyboard range at the bottom of Kontakt. People are a little bit up in arms about that online. Many other changes are kind of under the hood and will be of use to developers, including new scripting and mathematics. The interface has also been given a bit of an overhaul. It's got a kind of flat design now to match a lot of the other Native Instruments products. For a full rundown of the features, you can head over to the link in the show description below. This is the section of the show for freebies, and there's a couple of great ones this week. The first is Neutrino from iZotope. It's a completely free spectral shaping plugin which claims to listen to your audio and then emphasise the detail in the tracks. It works on drums, bass, vocals and other instruments too. There's 4 different algorithms in there that you can choose between. It's got an interesting demo online. I checked it out on YouTube, and that shows kind of what effect it has on the sound. I won't claim to understand the exact mathematics involved here behind the scenes. Really, that kind of technicality is pretty much lost on me. But I can definitely hear the difference between the before and after. To find out more, head over to the iZotope website. A very generous offer from Private Labs next. All you've got to do is fill in a quick survey of 4 questions on their website, and that will help drive them towards their future product development. You've got to sign up to the mailing list too, and then you'll get a download link for their Snap library, which is a library of sound design and string effects performed by a string quartet. This is normally $29, but obviously it's completely free, and it will take you about 10 seconds to fill out that survey. Check the show description for the survey link below. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's Samplecast. We couldn't do it without the viewers like you every single week, so it's really appreciated if you've watched the entire show or even just bits of it on YouTube. If you'd like to hear more about the instruments I've featured, just head over to the podcast where I can demonstrate them all in their full audio glory. You can also check out the Samplecast website at thesamplecast.com. Don't forget to chat to us on Twitter, Facebook, and you can even email us at thesamplecast@gmail.com. I'll be here again next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye now.